There you go. Pat?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Darren Charkoulian, Chair of the Street Fair Committee. Tonight, we're gonna have our last committee meeting of 2025. Brief update from their promoter, and talk about the revenue raised to mid-November. And then we're gonna move on to continue our conversation on holiday marketing. So first, I will turn it over to Joe. Welcome, Joe. Good evening, and give us a summary of the revenue raised.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. This is Joe Giovanni from Mardi Gras Festival Productions. I hope it was a good season for all. I'll go through them one by one. You did your two multi-block events, which brought in $6,000 for the community board. We also had the two single blocks events, which was another $3,000 that came in for the community. And then we did three Bowling Green Plaza events, which was another $3,000 for the community board. And then we had the series of sidewalk sale events that are on Liberty Street on the sidewalk, not closing the street, but on the sidewalk at Zuccotti Park. And that brought in $12,000 for the season. So basically, totally, the board received $24,000 for the events that it sponsored this year.
Okay, thank you, Joe. That's thank you for that update. It's helpful. So is everything, are we completely done with street fairs and all these
Yes.
events here?
Yes, you're completely, yes, you're done for the season. Actually, all the events are done for the season. So of course, then we have to file for the same events next year. But two things, hopefully, I'm hoping for next year. In fact, I just had a meeting with the director of the citywide events office, and as you probably know, that there's going to be a major celebration for the 4th of July because it's the 250th anniversary of America. So hopefully we're going to have your event become part of that and move it back to where it was originally, which was on Water Street, because everything in Lower Manhattan around the 4th, although everything is still a work in progress and they really don't know all of the details, but all the tall ships are coming in again for the celebration. And I think Lower Manhattan is going to have a huge part of the celebration, of course, the fireworks, so forth. Although I do understand there might be a change that they might be having the ball drop in Times Square again on 4th of July to commemorate the 250th anniversary. So, but all of that is still a work in progress. They really don't know. And of course, the change in administrations is going to make a difference to a lot of details. Yeah. So I'd love to tell you that it's all set in stone, but it's not.
Okay, so when, if things move forward, at least with the same events as last year, when would we start up again? Is it in April?
The first one would start in May.
It starts in May. Okay, great.
Yes,
Okay,
it starts in May.
That's
So everything
okay.
you would, so I I know that I can guarantee that the minimum you'll receive is the same thing that happened this year. It was 24,000. And by the way, everything's stalled. I worked tirelessly to try to get you a holiday market on the super wide sidewalk along City Hall Park, but we couldn't get anybody to say yes. I'm sure you know, because you're a community board and you deal with all the different agencies. Everything this year was, nobody would make a decision. Nobody would say yes to anything. So it's not, it wasn't just Parks Department. It was so many agencies that we deal with. It was unbelievable. So I'm hoping that the new administration is going to change a lot of that.
So if we got, I'm not asking you to start lobbying on January 2nd, maybe, but how, do you expect a lot of turnover, or you're gonna know most of the people, in this holiday market process, starting in
Well,
January?
yeah, so I obviously we're gonna wait until see what happens with a new commissioner that normally they'll appoint somebody new to take over the Parks Department, which means that the borough commissioners will probably be replaced as well. So and hopefully we'll get we'll work on it, but hopefully we'll with your support, of course, we'll get somebody to say, okay, let's give that a try. Because there's really, I mean, you can go there. Not only do they have the farmers market there regularly, but they have vendors that set up illegally sometimes there, and it just goes on. So there's no reason why the city would make money. You guys would make benefit from the sponsorship. Everybody, it would be a nice activity, I believe. And most people all thought that it was a nice idea, but nobody would say, yes, okay, we're going to do it. So,
So how many blocks would it, so it start at Chambers, and how many blocks south would it go to Murray?
yeah, it would be somewhere around 3 blocks in terms of
Okay.
space.
Okay.
The
Okay, and
Broadway?
I guess, one last question I had for you.
Yeah,
Um, you characterized things are still kind of getting back. How would you characterize, you started, it was a kind of like a weak start to the street fairs, people returning to the office, and the lingering effects
Yes,
from COVID, and
that
and
that
how
that
would you say the year ended? Was it any improvement from last time? Would you still say it
it,
was like
no,
mediocre?
there's been some improvement because there has been more people coming back to work full time. I will tell you that it's still not that you're really involved in any of those, but Mondays and Fridays are still very, very, very weak. Not only
Yeah,
not only are they weak in Lower Manhattan, but because we do some events also in Midtown around Grand Central and places like that, they're very weak. We're still not getting everybody back to the offices, but I think it's changing more as time goes on. More and more people are coming back. And what the good part about Lower Manhattan, especially the things that we do in and around Liberty Street, you get a lot of tourists. They're coming, to the 9/11 museum and to the Oculus and in Lower Manhattan in general. They're still coming down the Statue of Liberty, all of that. So that's helping, bring back because as well as I do, everything is based on the number of vendors that we get and if they have to make money, and if they don't make money, they're not going to come back. So as it's been getting
right.
stronger, and hopefully it will come back even stronger this year, um, it should be a better year.
Nick,
Okay,
all right.
and then, when, I guess, would it be, would you have potentially have made any progress in the holiday market discussions? I'd like to have a meeting before May.
Yeah, I think we
since
should try and schedule something for sometime maybe in March or April, beginning
March or
April.
April.
Yeah, I think obviously it's going to take time for them to decide who's taking over the various agencies and so forth, and there's always a learning curve, and although
Yeah,
sometimes the learning curve could work in our favor, because if you're just hearing positive things and not just sitting back and saying, nah, why we never did it before, why should we do it? Hopefully that's not going to be the rationale in this transition. So we'll see.
okay, great, thank you. I'm good. I don't have anything. I'll open up to the committee. What's
No, I
spoken
think
for
you're
Joe?
all right.
Can you confirm for me what months they will not allow you to permit? Is it just July or is it June and July?
I'm sorry. Can you say, I missed that. Could you say that again?
What months will they not allow you to permit in 26?
What months? There is no months that they prohibit. It's just that you're only allowed to do a certain number of events. So, technically, they always want you to keep the same date frame, and not only with your events, but everybody's events. So in other words, if your event historically was the second week in May, that's when they wanted to continue.
But you're good to continue throughout June, all of June and all of July?
Well, yes. Well, like for instance, the multi-block events. You have one on the 4th of July every year, and then you have one on October 12th. That's the multi-blocks. The single blocks, you have one in May and then another one in August.
What
And
about the Wednesdays?
the Wednesdays run, yes, the Wednesdays run continually from the beginning of May through the end of October.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, yes.
All right, Susan, I have one question. So what will you have on July 4th? What are the vendors, what do you think you're gonna do?
Well, historically, for the last, I think 5 or so years, the event has been taking place on Fulton Street from Water Street to Gold Street. Because this year, because hopefully of the whole 250th anniversary celebration, we're requesting that it be moved out onto Water Street. Because I think if the amount of people do show up that they're claiming will come for all of these activities, Fulton Street is going to be it's just going to be a madhouse. You know, it's not a very wide street to begin with.
No,
So
right.
so and if Water Street's going to be closed to traffic anyway, which I'm
So that-
being told that it will be, that it just makes more sense to just have it out there. So, you know, it's a lot easier to have an event on a double wide street than it is to have it on a single.
Fine. And would we be only food again?
No, it's everything. It's arts,
all
crafts, general merchandise,
Okay, good.
foods. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions that I could?
Yes,
We have any control over the types of vendors that come?
I'm sorry.
Do we have any kind of control over the types of vendors that come?
Well, if you want it, yes. I mean, we could basically, if you had something in mind and that you want us to focus on,
Well, the thing, me personally, is like sometimes there's too many of a certain kind. And it just seems like that's all like, in particular, usually between Broadway and Nassau, it seems like there's always these, like, I wanna say Italian setups. Italian and Mexican setups around that area.
not
And then.
and remember,
and
you
then
have to remember
between-
something. I'm only one producer. There's other producers that do other events. So I don't know that you're talking about yours specifically. I can tell you that in the 30 some odd years that we're doing events, everything in terms of food vending has changed dramatically. That, you know, the days of having the sausage and the sausage heroes and things of that nature have really gone
Right.
by the wayside, and everything now is more healthier foods like gyro, chicken gyros, and things of that nature, fruit shakes and fruit cups. So it's been more of that than anything
Not
else.
enough, and that's why I'm making this point, because not enough there, and it seems like it's like a separation. You've got the Mexican and Italians between Nassau and Broadway, and then you have all of the Caribbean food trucks between, Cliff and Water. It's interesting, I noticed that. It was interesting that I noticed that separation. Just observe it. We could spread them out a little, okay, but I never see any, because I live right there on Beekman and Water, and I don't think I've ever seen one of those gyro places down over that way.
I'll definitely look into it. The only
They're
thing that I will
always been
tell
over on Nassau.
the only thing that I will tell you is because of the number of complaints we get, the Caribbean food, which is a very big seller actually. Caribbean food though
Yeah.
is barbecued, and it creates a lot of smoke. So
And
we're
the other
limited.
ones,
So we're limited to put them. Normally, we only put the Caribbean foods on corners, and there's only so many corners. There's only 4 corners on every block. So
And
I will look into what you're telling me, but also I just want you to know that we're cognizant of the fact that we try not to put anything of smoke where there's anything residential, because you get a lot more complaints that way. So it could be that, or but I will definitely look into it. It's very, we have a whole computerized system, so it actually prevents us from putting in somebody that creates a lot of smoke in any residential building, because we probably had a complaint before, and we make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Good.
Okay, Joe, one more question. Would it help if, at the beginning that March, April meeting, you invite the borough commissioner or the parks person, that looks after this stuff? And you guys, we can all get in the room together?
Yes.
Okay, so once we know who the borough commissioner is, we'll shoot a request to come to our meeting, and Darren will sweet talk him and say we need the money.
You were gonna.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would love to schedule a meeting and meet with them directly, and maybe have, and have, 1 or 2 of you from the board itself, because it means obviously when they're talking to me directly, and as opposed to having you guys there too, so they can understand the importance of it, it might make a big difference.
Okay, and is the borough commissioner office in this building? I mean, is there really no excuse for them to show up, not to show up?
They could show up virtual.
we could do virtual.
We could do, yeah, you could do virtual, yeah.
I don't know where.
The borough commissioner's office is up on the west side. It's over on 65th Street.
Okay,
But we need to find out who will be the new borough commissioner. We have
Yes,
to wait.
yes.
Okay.
Joe, I actually have a question for you. It's Pat.
Yeah, Pat.
So how many events do we have in the street on Liberty Street?
You meaning the board, or how many total are there?
So,
He doesn't know total because he's not safe.
Yeah.
so there
right.
are other events that
Yes.
are taking place on
Yes.
Liberty Street, in the street, that are not you.
Right.
Well,
Okay, so I need
some of
to-
them that we produce, like we produce an event there for the First Precinct Community Council. There are several other events that I believe that we do on Liberty Street. That
Because I don't, mhm.
and again, there's other promoters that also have Liberty Street, that use Liberty Street. And Pat, just so you know, because I know it definitely affects you. But because of the configuration of Lower Manhattan with so many small side streets, there's very few locations that are available, other than Liberty Street. Because remember, we have to be able to accommodate an emergency vehicle if, God forbid, something happens. So,
Right.
you need a fairly wide street to make all of that happen.
But you know what the new fly in the ointment is? You may have noticed that Rector Street between Trinity and Broadway is closed.
Yes.
And it will be closed for 2 years. And every time I try to get around, especially, it's more in the middle of the day than the evening, probably rush hour also. You're backed up on Rector Street, backed up on Rector. And then you have to be able to go east, you have to go if an event is happening on Liberty Street, you gotta go all the way up to, I'm trying to think of where. Probably VC Street before you can go east to get to access Broadway. It's not,
But
your fault.
isn't Cedar Street open?
No, that's going west,
You mean to go eat?
to go east,
Right.
to go to Broadway. And it's a big problem. So anyway, all right. We'll talk about it. I'll go to the Transportation Committee here.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
No worries.
okay, if there aren't any.
Happy holidays.
Yes. Everybody have a great
other
holiday.
Questions for Joe, or any other topics we'd like to discuss here, otherwise we can,
Mary Ann was on, I don't know if she's still.
Mariama?
Mary Ann, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I guess I agree with everything everybody was saying. I am happy that we are able to have the street fairs again, to make the money. But the ones on Fulton Street to Broadway really, really bother me because we have such a large city bike stand, and Fulton Street is the only, so that it comes into the street and makes it more narrow. And Fulton is the only street that goes west from by the hospital. So the ambulances can never get through there. They always have to try to
Those are not our permits.
Those are not
our
ours?
permits.
No.
Okay.
No, that's not yours. And
Well,
actually, just so you know, because I know we did two of them there previously in the previous years, but
Mhm.
because of the construction that's on Fulton Street and will continue, from what I understand, they were relocated to Park Place.
Okay. Well, Park Place is a much, much wider street than
Yes,
Fulton. So that's
yes,
good. Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay,
Just for the record, Mariana, if you want it, send me those locations, and when they're approved in the system, I can make those comments of what you're addressing. If you
Okay,
have to give me
thanks. I've taken
specific
sometimes some video and some
locations.
pictures of the ambulances they have to try to turn onto Nassau
Can you do
because
the
they
same
can't
for
get down
Liberty?
Fulton Street.
All right, no problem, dear.
I don't think you're going to see
Send
any.
me a-
I don't think you're going to see any events on Fulton Street in 2026
Okay, that's
because
good to hear.
because I know that construction project is still going to be ongoing for at least a year.
Yeah.
So like I said, they've been relocated. I know the two events that we had were relocated to Park Place. It may have been another one that we do not produce, and I think that was relocated to Liberty Street.
What was, oh wait, I missed that. What was located to Liberty Street?
One of the Fulton Street events.
Yeah, all right, you heard what I said.
I know Fulton Street is not going to be active in 2026.
Alrighty.
all right, so thank you for your updates tonight and best wishes for the holiday season
Yes.
of 2026.
Do we need a new contract?
And we will,
We're done.
we'll try to meet in March or April and then bring the other parties, necessary parties into this discussion.
Okay,
for the
great.
holidays.
Okay, great. And you have to do another resolution, I believe, right?
Do we?
We can just take the.
Let me look at it and maybe Tammy can do it on exec.
Can we not pursue it before we have a resolution?
We can,
Okay.
because it's an ongoing thing. I don't think it'll be official.
Okay.
Yeah, the resolution is just to continue the task force. We're no longer a task force.
We're a permanent
We
committee
don't
now
need to consider
What was the resolution for? I apologize.
for Joe's contract.
for Joe.
No, we never did it. Did we?
Okay.
I'll look, but I don't recall seeing one, but I'll look.
Hey, thanks, Joe.
All right,
Okay, you're
You
welcome.
have
Have a great holiday. Have a happy Thanksgiving. All right. Thank you. Bye.
The resolution that I recall is to continue the task force. And we no longer have a task force. And it was embedded in there.
Oh, maybe so. Because remember, we had three different, and we had to choose one, and we choose Joe all the time. but
Right,
we
what
had
I'm
to
saying to
choose-
you is that it was embedded in that, I believe it was embedded in that same resolution.
Oh, okay,
But Zach has already signed the contract for 26,
okay.
so.
So we didn't need,
Meeting adjourned?
Did we get, so we got the 24K?
Yes, sir.
Everything's good, okay. Okay.
but wait, so we didn't need to, because remember, we had to at one point look at other venues, just
We
to look
did, I
at.
mean, is that something you guys, I mean, do we want to do
I
that?
think that is up to the committee to
Yeah.
choose.
I didn't want to do it, I'm just saying, I thought we had to.
No, you don't have to.
No, we
You,
did
I
it
think
in
it
a
works.
couple years before COVID, I think it's worked.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
do you wanna continue on record, because it's recording is on?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we decided if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Committee's all in favor.
And we're all,
Yeah,
so all in favor? 'Cause you got
aye.
You stop the meeting adjourned?
Adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We recording? Yes. All right, it's 6:08. I'm gonna call the executive meeting to order. I am Tammy Meltzer, Chair of Community Board 1. Our first presenter, has postponed, so we'll wipe that straight off and go straight into intro 1444 and 1421. Both of these are going to be at public hearings on Monday, for which I've signed up to speak. So whatever we do this evening by resolution, I'll be reading our drafts out and submitting. Okay? I can always, if for some reason anything fails at full board, I can always rescind it. All right, so let's start with 1444. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at, some of the information that
Yeah.
was shared? And I'm gonna have Betty, if you don't mind, unmute and, help us lead in the conversation of 1444.
Probably
Betty?
the best person. Yeah, I'm trying to think which one that even is.
That's the clear path. Starting always with the one that says approval to reduce the pedestrian clear path to no greater than 8 feet, regardless of the width of the sidewalk.
Yes, well, this one has a lot of problems that, in fact, CB1 has pointed out in the past. Because this one, by saying that they won't go beyond 8 feet, we don't have the really large sidewalks that Midtown does. So they have a whole different level of argument. On the other hand, this doesn't give any leeway at all on those 8 feet. You absolutely cannot make it more than 8 feet, no matter what. So if there's scaffolding, if there are signboards, if there are sidewalk is torn up, I mean, whatever it is, there's no exemptions or accommodations for all the various problems. It also makes no comments about what kind of pedestrian flow would have to be, could be more than 8 feet. It's ridiculous. If you have something like Canal Street, where you can have 10,000 people an hour, that's very different than another street that has a lot lower flow of pedestrians. To give them the same amount of footage seems rather crazy.
So we're gonna pull up the detailed text for people so they can read it. I will say that our colleagues at CB4, I'm gonna lift part of what they talked about. And they are against intro 1444. Which would further limit pedestrian clear path to 8 feet and allocate that space to cafes on all sidewalks without distinction for pedestrian crowding. This current regulation calls for an 8-foot clear path on 97% of New York City sidewalks. The other 3% are regional and global corridors where the volume of pedestrians is very significant and more space is needed for safe and unobstructed pedestrian circulations. They used examples in theirs of 8th and 9th Avenue, which are thousands of commuters to reach the bus terminal Penn Station. And so then they say, we believe it's a major step backwards for pedestrian safety to further limit clear paths on 3% of sidewalks. We oppose this intro.
Great.
Good, I like it.
Let's just lift it.
Just lift it.
We can lift it. Betty, I suggest
Except
that
the
we
streets.
add, our own, for example, we could add the traffic around Fulton, which is a major transportation, Bowling Green and others where we actually barely even have 8 feet clear path.
Well, in fact, we have a lot of global pathways in Tribeca and
Chamber
in
Street.
Tideye.
Right,
Yes,
Chamber Street.
and Chamber Street, yeah. So we're gonna say
Canal.
global
and
pathways,
canal.
chambers,
Part of ours, but yes.
canal,
Well, any streets that heads to the,
Fulton.
Calatrava Center. All those streets over there on.
Yeah, we don't have to name all of them, we can say such as,
Right.
you know, including not limited to. And, my guess is based on our prior resolutions on this topic for Clear Path, we might be against 1444. Is that the sense of the room?
Yes.
Cameron, can I
Yes.
add another consideration, and this probably applies to the other legislation as well, and that is sidewalks are public space. Sidewalk cafes involve privatization of public
Good point.
space. And
Point.
you allow that for a reason, but you shouldn't be going overboard about it, because you're giving away public space for private use.
And we're getting nothing.
And getting nothing in return other than constricted pedestrian
That's correct.
pathways.
Which also applies to number 3.
Yeah, it does apply to number 3.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything else to that? I mean, I would like to add also the problem that we have is one that was well noted by one of CB7 board member who went on an Instagram and TikTok rant and has been lying down on the sidewalks outside street cafes. I kid you not. At the end, she's 5'6" and she's lying down from the end of the sidewalk cafe and her feet are hanging over. So there's no chance that they have 8-foot clear path on things. And she has complained about it. She's reported it to DOT. She has finally started a public campaign lying down outside
Good for her.
cafes.
Good for her.
You should go help her.
I wish I could lie down.
Which sort of leads me to the comment on both of these. What is the problem they're trying to solve?
Yes.
Not enough sidewalk cafes and roadside cafes?
Don't have enough.
That seems to be it. These are both.
They can't have more, not enough opportunities to make more money.
Well, I mean, for my purposes, I take a look at this, and the problem that I have with this is you are giving away the sidewalks to one particular industry.
That's right.
So it's not like I grew up in Connecticut where there were sidewalk sale days. So the sidewalks were compromised. Every store had availability to set up outside for whatever they were selling, whether it was shoes,
So it's just one for a while.
toys. It was 2 weekends in a summer,
2 weekends.
or, once a month, whatever. But this is a permanent change to sidewalk for one end.
And year round.
Forever, year round, every day.
You know, we have inclement weather with snow on the ground, people,
How
I
about
mean,
we-
there are, this goes
Umbrellas.
for both resolutions, but there's a lot of competing interests who want to make use of that space. And maybe there is a good reason to allocate some of it to some use and some to another. But this is kind of a piecemeal way of doing it without looking at the problem as a whole.
Okay.
and
So
with.
when it goes in front of the, when it's considered now for future sidewalk cafes, what's the minimum width required? 8. I mean, even right
8
before
to
this.
10, depending on where it is.
Yes, 8 to 10. Remember, if it's
Right,
not,
and this is
Grading
no
and
more 10
various
feet,
things.
it'll be
Okay,
max 8.
okay.
Is it max, Betty?
Yes.
No greater
because
than
it
8,
says
yeah.
no
How
greater,
does
no
that-
more than 8.
So for example, if you're taking a look at, I'll use the sidewalks around. Let's find a really good example where we have the widest sidewalks in our neighborhood. We'll use
Church Street.
We'll use 2. We're gonna use Church Street, right? We're gonna use Tennessee Street in Battery Park City. We're gonna use Canal on the assumption that they do some build outs on sidewalks up there.
Well, that's part of the
I can't
plan.
imagine that we would say, let's build out more sidewalks and then take more
Take it all
sidewalk
away.
away.
yes, take it all away.
And there's not, it doesn't even, I mean,
Okay, so right now it's between 8 and 10, but then this should be on a case by case basis, right? Yeah.
Street by street.
8 and
Yeah.
10 is the minimum, so if you've got more, you've got more.
Cause suppose you have a street that has a lot of.
Zach, you can, 8 is the minimum, but in many instances, we've asked for 10 feet because of various things around,
Well, so if suppose you have a street that's,
that's right.
then you're gonna take that into
It's in grades.
Okay, so this is again about 1444. We are saying, community board 1 does not support this info.
No.
We have many global pathways and high volumes of pedestrians
Do we wanna
in
say
the
unless?
forest areas,
No.
like Chambers,
No,
Canal,
unless.
Chambers, Canal, Fulton, Broadway.
I mean, 10 is narrow enough on some of those streets.
And Bowling Green.
And we're getting nothing.
Well, and I would,
As.
They're taking away from us.
I would add Jeff's comment too about there are opposing interests for that pedestrian space already.
Okay, so the next comment I have was CB1 is against the privatization of public space. You are constricting the public pathways there. And this is an opportunity only eligible for one industry, is that how we were putting it, or how?
This is for 1421.
1444, right? There's already not enough enforcement to be able to manage what we have.
Yeah.
Okay, with
To
that,
enforce what the restaurants are already grabbing.
right,
Call the question.
Well, can I recommend too that it's not that we don't support,
I'm sorry, go on.
we actually oppose it.
yes.
Yes, we are, we're gonna oppose.
We're opposing.
Yeah, not support is
Okay,
kind of
great.
mild.
Oh, no, we will strongly not support. We will oppose.
Right.
Strongly.
We are strongly opposed
Yeah.
Where's our council member to vote against it?
and urge city council to vote against.
I'm surprised that there were so many
If he
other
wants
east
to
siders
be-
that voted for it, because they have way smaller sidewalks than we do.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that too, including our good friend Julie.
I wondered what she was after.
Yeah.
Do you
Um,
think? No.
Super PAC. Okay, let's move, all right, I'm just gonna call a vote by affirmation. Are there any opposed to the negative resolution on 1444? Hearing and seeing none. Are there any abstentions, recusals? Motion passes unanimously. Next one is 1441. This changes roadway dining to year-round.
No.
way.
No way.
Okay.
And giving space to grocery stores as well as, I mean, at least it would be equal, you know.
But what are
But it's
giving?
only grocery stores. No. So it's, first of all, you're allowing restaurants, so I'm a restaurateur, and this is my space. My lovely friend over here is a dry cleaner, and my lovely friend over here has a suit store. So I'm gonna get permission, I'm gonna go in front of both their locations.
Greedy pigs, as you like to say.
So, no, they stay at their landlines, is that what we're saying?
It's supposed to be in the same
Lot
buildings.
lines.
They're supposed to be under the same.
The lot lines,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay, lot lines. So no on the frontage for,
No additional.
Sidewalk. or roadbed.
And I don't understand why it needs to be year-round. Give me a reason.
I don't,
It needs to be at all.
why can't we stick to the original agreement? And it was.
COVID's over then, if it's the original
We don't
agreement.
care.
No, COVID's over, take them away, make them go
Oh,
back.
we're saying, well, we already lost,
We
give me 2 minutes. We already lost on the, sidewalk. Sidewalk is year round. So, but we're saying roadway is not, because we want our streets to be able to be swept and cleaned and plowed.
And accessible and snow plowed and
Matter of fact, we
everything.
could take a couple of months away.
Although I want to say I am not opposed to the road going to 12 months a year. The argument is that it's very difficult to store everything and
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
Did you say
We've
you're
been
not
stored before, not COVID.
Allow grocery stores to occupy sidewalk space. And then Betty, what was the other one? It's,
houses,
retail,
food warehouse, food warehouses.
yes. Food warehouses.
It's a food
What's
warehouse.
I guess maybe it's defined in here, but I don't know what that is.
Betty,
I put it down at the bottom.
So can't
It's
we
what you
just-
think it
So-
is.
yeah, so we're saying that the issue with food
Do
warehouses.
you want
is
the
they go to public
definition?
rest-
Voting with us.
We
Yeah.
introduced
Do you want the
something about
definition?
that. We had the street,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
special day.
Food
Yeah.
warehouse
One day.
shall mean any food establishment in which food is held for commercial distribution.
That's a warehouse.
Why do they
But we
need
don't
a
have it.
roadside cafe?
Or why do
I
they
don't
need
know.
roadside anything? Really?
Or sidewalk.
No, well, I know they're 55, and it's on their property, but they've moved some of their produce outside.
But that's on their lot.
I know, but.
So why don't we
but
give
that's the whole
FedEx
thing, and other
and all of the
people-
delivery people some sidewalk? We need space for them to dump all their packages on the sidewalk so we can't walk by.
Well, no, but can we stick with food warehouses because that's actually in the bill?
Yep, and grocery stores. So,
No, nobody.
Well,
needs
grocery
space.
stores can sell some ready-to-eat food. And they can
But
have,
that's on the
boundaries
sidewalk. Why on the roadbed? Why on the roadbed?
because they can't have the sidewalk.
Well, they can't have the road
They
bed.
have a road bed
Well,
either.
why
Well, I
can't
don't see
grocery
why they
stores
can't have the road bed, but the fact is, they
So
do
grocery
not
stores do
qualify
have
for the sidewalk.
That's not true. Look at the Whole Foods, up over by, Greenwich.
Right.
They're on the
Sorry.
sidewalk.
Sorry, yeah.
They have
They have
they have a
stuff on the
street, they have a
sidewalk.
sidewalk
But
cafe.
in front of the front of the.
Oh, no,
They
not a
got like a
cafe.
They
wide
have a
stuff.
permit for the front of their store
Right.
that fronts on Greenwich, and they have displays out there that they
Right.
sell from.
Right.
But that's a permit process, it's not a permanent thing,
And
that's
it's
in
like-
their landline.
50 feet wide, so it's like there's not a.
And they sell Christmas trees out there, and they
It's
sell,
only seasonal though. They don't do
Pumpkins.
it, I mean,
No, they have stuff out there all the
They
time.
have out all year round.
I've seen it.
Oh, no.
okay,
Fine.
alright. So, it sounds like we're opposed to
Maybe it's not.
1421. I'll read to you what our colleagues over at CB4 said, because they nicely paved the way for us.
Thank you.
All right, on 1421, they said, intro 1421 proposes to allow roadway cafes to operate 12 months a year instead of being limited to the current 9 months. The present restrictions are very costly and favor larger, well-financed establishments that store furniture off-site. In addition, roadway cafes, unlike sidewalk, have no negative impacts on pedestrian path. Right?
No.
This new design guidelines ensure needs to ensure that furniture is movable and well-maintained. We support the request, provided the critical issues with programs are resolved, such as missing from the bill is a necessary clarification of the clear path for pedestrians and how to measure it. Unwritten interpretations are undermining the space that was intended to be reserved for pedestrian circulation. In particular, the allowances for recess and their measurements, which were not in the rules. The conflicts between clear path and clearances ought to be ironed out in favor of pedestrians. And then they make a following language for clear path: unobstructed straight line path on the sidewalk or sidewalk widening for pedestrian circulation. No license or revocable consent or consent shall be granted for a sidewalk cafe that obstructs pedestrian clear path, measured as a radius from any point of the cafe boundary to any obstruction surrounding the cafe. Another concern emanates from the proposal to reduce clearance for the roadway cafes to the nearest crosswalk to 8 feet from the current 20 feet. The current 20 feet requirement applies selectively to intersections where the cafe would obstruct the visibility of pedestrians and cyclists for vehicles turning into the cross arterial. 60% of all injuries and fatalities take place at where a vehicle is. 24 council members already supported intro 1138, which would have increased all corner clearances in the city to 20 feet for safety. I think that's the daylight them. Yet the dining bill goes out in exactly the opposite direction.
Yep.
We oppose this change. During COVID, many roadway dining installations were abandoned, leading to garbage, rat infestation, drug use, homeless, and blight on the neighborhood. It is critical that the law includes strict operational criteria during winter months and fines that will prevent the reoccurrence of such quality of life issues. In addition, a robust enforcement program for all illegal uses should be put in place. Finally, we suggest that every restaurant includes, that includes a sidewalk or roadway should be compelled to give free access to the bathrooms to the general public as a benefit to the.
Fremont Alice.
We said that.
Yeah.
Right. These modifications fly in the face of the city's efforts to make the streets safer. Now is not the time to make sidewalks narrower or intersections more dangerous. I read it, I mean, it's, to me, it's very interesting because, Keith Powers, I believe, is that district, and one of the sponsors, so, yeah. So the things for me that I found very compelling was their intersection analysis. Because that's not healthy, right? And especially for us where we have such tiny streets.
Yeah.
It's, I would want to,
Expand it.
expand it to decline the, change. It says to, reducing clearance from roadway cafes to the nearest crosswalk. Strongly opposed.
It's crosswalk and intersection, because not every intersection. is
It's not every
But
intersection
the
is cross.
thing eliminates it for both.
Yes,
Right.
I think that's right.
I have a problem with the parking issue, and I don't even have a car. And people live here in this city and they have cars, and it's really ridiculous.
Well, it's sort of the same issue. There's a lot of competition for curb space,
Right.
and whether or not you
Roadway
agree that
space.
that cars belong there, I happen to, but I
I
understand
do
there are
too.
others.
Yeah, I do too.
But we shouldn't devote it to this particular use, and especially in the wintertime.
Pay to live in the
Those
neighborhood.
things are generally empty in the
Mhm.
winter. All this is doing is saving them the money for storage. It's not gonna
It's
activate.
saving them the money, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's disruptive and when
These
it's,
places are empty and trashed and ugly in the wintertime.
That is the problem. I think that if you left them up in the winter, they become what we had with Gee Whiz. And what they did was they built two structures. They used one for outdoor storage. Period. That's all one was full outdoor storage. And that was on the Chamber Street side of their building or whatever street that was, Warren. And then they used the Greenwich for dining.
Although you can't have
And-
the structure. I mean, that's the old rules. The new rules, they can't have the structure. They can store
But
them,
Betty-
they'd be stopping
Some of
everything
them
open.
now, they look like they're not moving.
Betty, when you walk down the street, they can certainly create a space and have it be,
Put a tarp over the.
put a tarp
Nothing.
over it and other things. I mean, it tends to be a problem that we've seen and there's no, my concern is if you're storing stuff on the street in the winter, it does become a location for homeless who are looking to get out. And unless you're gonna allow them to run electric to it and then heat it for people to dine there,
Well, you don't have to run electric, you can have those big heaters, but it doesn't matter.
but
But the reality is, for most of the spots, people aren't going to be eating there. You know, they're gonna be largely vacant. It's not so these guys can have business in the winter and activate the street. It's so that they don't have to store it someplace else in the winter.
too bad.
It's giving them stuff for free. Why?
We need a free
We need
storage
this
space.
free for other things.
Well, for whatever cars need to have a parking space for city cars parking.
See,
The other-
I
the other-
oppose doing this for parking. I mean, parking has no right, talking about benefiting one
You're
person.
entitled.
yeah, but we're not talking about parking, we're
I
actually
understand.
talking. I hear that that is a concern brought up, but that's a
Different.
That's
It's
different.
It should be space. It should be open.
And I think for 12 months a year, it's a problem with dirt, debris, cleaning, homeless, everything. The other part of 1421 that is
Well, they gotta pay.
really struggling for me is the community board shall not require the petitioner to supply the board with additional written materials other than the petition and the agreed upon modifications. The problem with this is we require them to
Correct.
bring additional materials, and we actually do something very nice for them when they come. We allow them to go through their SLA and do all the stipulations for outdoor dining, so they don't need to come back. So we do a one-stop shop for them. Not every board, we found out today, does that, right? And if we're gonna go down that road, then we wouldn't be able to actually help the businesses. So that's another thing that we're opposed to. And why wouldn't we ask them to, I mean, supply additional written materials, like,
They're trying to restrict it for, the businesses to have less work to go through to get the license. So it's obviously an industry pushed, ad in there, but I think for this board's purposes, it doesn't work because of, the things you said and all of the extra information that you get from the additional asks that you use to determine proper hours. And you do that fairly, but that material was generally an ad for.
And it will lead to drinking, all kinds of stuff. That's what I think.
well, it's the other thing, we usually ask them, like, when they come with a liquor license, to show community support. Because the one thing that we do is complaints afterwards, and
Yeah.
if you don't have anything to stand by, they haven't been asked to bring something and to, Alrighty,
Well, can I bring up then,
We did.
go back to the food warehouses? Because based on what you just said as well, if the food warehouses aren't open to the public, which I don't in general object to, what are they selling? And if the public can't go in and use a bathroom, which we have been asking then of what use, what are they contributing? I mean, I see no reason for them. Have a sidewalk.
Just
or-
additional loading and unloading is what it is.
We don't have any in our community.
Well, we may not, but
Other
who knows
communities.
what's gonna happen?
All right, other places do, but do you remember, there used to be little mini ghost warehouses, food warehouses that they set up so you could dial on, we have one in Battery Park City. I don't remember the name of it, do you?
You can dial what?
That like you'd go on the app and whatever they had in the store, you could get delivered in under an hour. Right, but they were basically little food warehouses and supplies it's not big like Fresh Direct, but it was like a one-off. So you could Instacart from there and get those in, and then they were,
Amazon.
and there was another app that did it, and then they got rid of those because they were taking up storefronts and they
Right.
were dark storefronts,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people couldn't go.
That's right, I remember.
One on
But
Main
if
Line.
those existed, then you would have, if they're able to set up on the sidewalk, they could set up anything on the sidewalk. They could set up, package pickup and delivery on the sidewalk.
They would. In the summer.
Okay, so Betty, we're gonna put something in here about the warehouses do not offer or have bathrooms for the public.
Madam, they should be excluded under any conditions.
Yes,
Excluded under any condition. And we said, there was any person owning or leasing, managing and operating ground floor restaurant with less than 20 feet of frontage may expand their roadway cafe to the roadway adjacent to the curb in front of the abutting property, subject to the permission of the commissioner and the abutting property owners.
So they can go in front of the neighbors.
Right,
So I got 20 feet,
right,
curbs over there.
right.
Hey, Zach, I'm gonna pay you all the food that you can eat, and I set up in front.
no,
There's nothing that even says you have to pay Zach all the food that he can eat.
But he's gonna buy.
One would assume that there's a agreement.
Permission required from the.
Yeah, but it could be the building landlord could give the permission. A poor
absolutely,
tenant
that's
who has
correct.
commercial space.
Because he, like, yeah, right, you give me X and I'll do Y.
No, no,
Hey,
no, no.
In the statute says the landlord can give permission.
The statute says the landlord can,
Well, the property owner.
right, but that doesn't,
That's
if you're in a rental building, that's,
Exactly, so some
Yeah, you
landlord.
rent the store.
Or store is stuck with something in front of it that has no ability to.
You've got a card store or, something where.
And so,
That's
yeah,
why
and
it-
so the restaurant next door and the landlord say, I can go in front of yours.
I mean, the restaurant operator chose to operate in a small space. They shouldn't
That's what I said.
have a license.
But everybody's greedy.
I said that over COVID. They rented that space. Why do they need outside space and sidewalk space and road?
because it's significantly cheaper and it makes the value of the ground floor retail farm higher, so then
That's
the
right, but that's a
developer
public
can
good
charge
that's
more
being
money.
given.
Right.
That's right.
Can I point out another point as well? I mean, yeah, the landlord's gonna love it because it's gonna make it a lot more valuable as that little restaurant space. But also, if it's under 20 seats, they don't even have to have public bathrooms.
Ah, good point.
Good point.
That's right, so if it's a small restaurant, because they only have,
You don't need to have bathrooms. They're exempt from that. And then they're allowed all this space to have even more customers that they can't provide bathrooms for. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we always ask that.
okay,
So can,
And where's the garbage gonna get picked up?
so,
well, you can't pick up the garbage because it's down the street. Adding additional seating without requirements for restaurant.
They're supposed to have enough space on the side.
it's just like giving it all away.
It is, that's
It's
exactly what.
giving it all
Well,
away.
the rich get.
And screw all of us. Pardon me.
So by having part-time outdoor dining, it compels them not to make it permanent. So that they need to be able to clear it. But if we give it to them all year, things will be more permanent
And dirtier.
and dirtier. Okay.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So it's privatizing the street.
And-
Yes.
Oh, that's a good point.
And not to mention graffiti
Mhm.
and, I mean,
People
everything
flinging
that comes with it.
garbage.
Think about like,
Well, it's garbage. It's
it's just,
everything.
And what are we getting?
We get shit. Thank you.
Little-
Literally.
People will walk
Yeah,
their
people
dogs in there.
homeless people buying shit in between whatever's there.
Okay.
okay. Okay, all right, so
Question?
here's where we're gonna call the question on 1421. This is opposed. We think that, we're gonna divide up the lot line that we oppose any extension beyond, the lot lines of a building. No property owner. Small restaurants with less than 20 seats and 20 feet of frontage are not, often noted by less than 20 feet or less, are not required to have public bathrooms. Adding additional seating without a requirement to have a public bathroom is not serving the public good. We note that allowing in the statute allows the property owner to decide on extensions, does not protect the store renters next door. Okay. We said no to year round, for cleaning, for safety, for privatization, the public street denies alternative uses. And we strongly oppose this is no food warehouses and no grocery stores. This one is also the one with the reduced clearance from the roadway to the crosswalk from 8 feet to 20. We completely will use the CB4 language on that one. CB does not support the allowance of the petitioner to not have to supply additional information. I think that we already said food warehouses do not offer or do not offer public bathrooms.
We're public
to
assets.
the public. Right. It should be excluded from any type of consideration.
Yes.
Do we want to put anything in here that warehouses, grocery stores, and all of these, all those additional locations can file for SAPO permits to do events on their own? It does not have to be granted, for time to time, does not need to
They're
have.
not asking for events.
Yeah, why are we in the?
Why would I
Now
even
they
mention?
wanna give
No,
that thing.
let's not get carried away.
All right, there you go. All right, so that's everything that's in here. Zach and I are gonna.
We're not gonna put something,
So it just, I just looked at the statute again on this owner permission. That's the only one who needs to give permission other than the commissioner. The adjacent store operators
nothing
do
to
not
say.
need to give, they don't need their permission.
The other thing I
So the
was,
business owner next door has no say,
Right.
unless they happen to own the space.
right,
Wait a minute. So I decide I'm going this way and I'm running over Zach,
Yeah.
right? Brendan owns Zach's store. He owns the whole building.
you can get.
And he
permission.
says, yeah, you can go that way.
Yeah.
And Zach has no
Yes.
say.
That's what I'm saying.
So, sorry, I made you.
But the other thing I was thinking
To
too
be
is.
fair, it should be a parked car.
But if you live in above a restaurant and your
But
exit,
if you're a business owner, you may very well not want some obstruction on the curb.
Right.
I would think you wouldn't at all.
You know,
Want people
if
to
customers
be able
coming
to
by,
see.
yeah, you want them to see it
You
from
don't want-
the,
a waiter is running back and forth, this is what I was gonna say, if you live above a restaurant, and now the restaurant takes up space on both sides, you've got waiters, and you're trying to exit your building,
Yeah.
you've got waiters and waitresses running across paths, trying to service the
and
people.
if you're running a business that requires, street traffic for attracting
Exactly.
people across the street wouldn't even know you're there.
Right.
You're
Or they'd
obstructing.
be hesitant, they're like, I don't wanna get hit by a tray, No, I think it's unfair.
Yeah, and if I own an apartment right?
We wouldn't want that.
Okay, so we're short one, who do you wanna?
No, he gave us his vote.
Yeah, he voted on it.
He voted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I'm-
6, 7, 8.
I'm just visiting.
Yeah, we gotta.
Nope,
deputize.
we're deputizing you for a committee. What
Okay.
committees are you on?
Waterfront.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Thanks for subbing for Paul. There we go. Perfect. All right. All right, so with all of this in mind, I'll assume it's a vote of affirmation against 1421. Do I hear any in opposition? Do I hear any abstentions? And no recusals. Okay, off we go. There was one more that got added to in the same bucket.
Not this 43rd.
1440, no, hold on, there was one more. I emailed you guys.
It was just the ones that.
Wasn't there one more that got added to the hearing on Monday? I think so.
You're talking about the Port Authority?
Nope, hold on a sec. Okay, there was another update. There was a third bill added to Monday's hearing. And I love the fact that this is the only time that you can talk about it. Item 8 is 1446. Now, it creates a walk-in New York City DOT office for restaurants to get help in making out their outdoor dining applications.
Oh, so we're gonna give them free space outside and give them.
Offer them help. to
It
fill out-
requires the DOT to set up a on-street. It's an interesting idea.
Mm. So they don't have to get a lawyer.
Anybody who has the.
They don't have to get a
Pay.
DOT doesn't have, the government's always underfunded, DOT doesn't have money to.
And they can barely.
But they're
do it
gonna,
now.
but they're gonna,
They can't even enforce right now.
That's right,
so
exactly.
they're gonna give them that. We
And they're
look
gonna have,
where the money
they
goes
have to
from
have
force.
somebody who actually does it, so they need to hire.
Right,
Right.
so that's why I'm asking, where's the money?
Well, so I don't mind if they get a street level office for people to go to, right? It says the petition shall be made available to the public, completed petition shall be received by the
No.
department, both online and at a physical location accessible to the public at either a department facility or facility operated by the Department of Small Business Services. Petitioners shall be able to receive relevant information at a physical location pertaining to their application. Hold on, petitioner should be able to save and return an incomplete online application prior to submitting for such petition for review. Okay, so,
What is that gonna cost? And
Well-
can we get that back in enforcement? And how many languages are we gonna have to have it in?
yeah.
It's gonna be 25 different.
Exactly.
languages,
And they're gonna have to have interpreters, they're gonna have to have. all
How
the
much
stuff.
time?
Bullshit.
They don't need a bill to do this. The city could say, the restaurants
They
need
do it, don't
a
they?
certain level of support and the agency could do it. I think if the agency hasn't done it, then they don't feel like there's a need for it. And
Because it's funny.
pushing
Why, and
This-
why is the council
on
pushing
to
it?
the agency.
Why, huh?
This is the industry here.
I know.
Well, here's the crazy thing. Here's the worst part about this, right? The petition shall be in a form described by the rules of the department, shall include accurate drawings depicting required clearances, the space to be occupied in locations, tables, chairs, barriers, and other permitted objects provided. However, that the department shall not require that such drawing be developed, reviewed, or approved by an architect, engineer, or other professional
We do.
third party.
What?
Petition shall be made available to the public and completed. Petition shall be received by the department, both online and physical, accessible to the public. A department facility operator, okay. It's interesting that they're putting it back on SBS, because this is a DOT formula, so I'm not sure why it's being pushed back on SBS particularly.
They're saying they don't need to see the schematics of the layout of the
DOT
space,
should do
right?
it.
Is that what they're saying?
It's kind of a
Right.
weird thing, because what I don't get is why you're taking a DOT program opening up a small business services office to help the restaurants
Understand what you do.
understand what DOT is doing. Why not just have office hours available at a Department of Transportation?
Exactly.
But
To explain
Zach is
what you-
saying something else as well. There's something really radically wrong with this.
You think?
Yeah, I think.
You know what my issue with this is? Do you see one thing in here where the public has an opportunity to come in and complain or
No,
file a
nothing.
complaint?
Of course not. Nothing. We don't count.
You know, that's kind of my thing with 1446. If you're gonna make a requirement that somebody has an office, I think it's ridiculous. DOT should be able to serve the
Yeah,
constituents.
right, exactly. They're the ones that make up the rules
I
and stuff.
had
They
public
should have
ways accessible
somebody.
hours for restaurateurs.
Right, to come and explain what
Is that a
they
bad
mean
thing?
by what.
What am I
If they want you, it says hire a lawyer.
Well, I mean, this is part of the package of bills to make it easier to get these roadside and sidewalk cafes. That's what it is.
Right, then DOT should offer the service. Oh, you don't understand? Okay, we'll open up an office for you and you come ask us the questions so we can explain to you.
Exact
what
words
we
at
want.
SBS.
It's not that far off base. I mean, the SBS does a number of services
That's fine.
for businesses that are opening, helps them get all the various permits that they might need to accelerate a business opening. So it's not that.
That,
Yeah, but DOT's making it so
isn't that why
difficult.
DOT assigns a specific handler?
Yeah, I think it's probably, I bet you SBS would, you ask them, they would say, no, we don't need to do this.
I'm sort of scrolling through this. Kind of along the lines of what Zach just said, I don't see anything in particular wrong with this. I kind of don't like it because I don't like the objective. But I think it might be safe just to not take any position on it one way or the other. If they want to, I mean, I think overall, it's a good thing to make it easy to apply for permits.
But why are we spending more city dollars?
They don't make it, and they don't.
What Zach is saying to us, Jeff, what I think is, already exists through the Small Business
Right.
Administration. We don't need to do this and spend, unless you want to do something for the public, for the people who are the recipients of all these
Is it-
requests.
Is this only for these particular permits? Is that what
Uh-huh.
this is?
So what
So
about
I
anything
So
else?
that's why
that has to do with
I guess the
DOT?
position would be, we don't see any reason to prioritize these over any other permit.
But
That's Zach's.
That's the case, yeah.
Yeah, it's just for expanding access to
No,
sidewalks.
no.
DOT should take it.
That,
Well, as
And if you're not a restaurant and you've got,
We
I
do not
honestly don't
see-
understand what the sponsor's mindset is.
I think it's
as a
money.
lobbyist.
It's
Well, I can
lobbying.
have some cynical.
It's the restaurant association.
Yeah.
which-
Yeah.
You could be cynical.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's, for me, coming from the hotel and restaurant industry, there is, look at the National Restaurant Association puts out statistics of when you open a restaurant, how many are still there in 3 years and in 5 years. And if you look and include COVID, we're actually where they say, oh, we had 1,000 then, we only have, X now. It's actually in line with what the national projections are. And they always note that in big cities, AKA like New York, where there's so many options, this is actually even harder. So all of the, hey, we had 1,400 then and we have 700 now, is actually perfectly in line
With what you would have had anyway.
with what you would have had through natural attrition anyway. And it will slowly roll around. So,
I mean, I don't object to helping the restaurant industry. It serves us all, but this particular method of helping is not something I'm in favor
Yeah,
of.
but there are people who have all kinds of businesses that might need help, that
No, but
they're not getting free help. I just find that. Okay, I don't agree.
so CB1 does not support additional money required for another layer of government when these services exist already
through,
through
Small business.
DOT and SBS.
Yes.
wasn't there a place like that somewhere on John Street that you could go to and get help for?
Yeah, still there.
Hello? Give them the address.
So what you,
Yeah, this is where we go.
Does not support intro 1446. Additional money is not required from another layer of government and services that exist already through DOT and small business services. We do not see the need for a separate location dedicated to this one use.
And we would like to recommend that they use that extra money that they think they have for enforcement. If they have so much extra money, can you please put it in enforcement?
Contemplated. Especially because if they're gonna have to rent office space in every borough.
And then they're gonna want
Yeah.
footage on the outside to have.
It's contemplated.
And 20,000
They're bricks,
languages
they're
and
gonna-
characters and all of this other stuff. Like,
What makes us so cynical, huh?
We live in New York, that's what makes us cynical.
No, we were tainted.
This fog, dirty air.
That's from the sewers.
Rats.
The rats and
Well,
crackers.
The fleas we got.
So should I call the question?
Hold on, I'll
Okay.
read the whole thing out. CB1 does not support intro 1446 with additional money required for another layer of government for services that already exist through DOT and SBS. We do not see the need for separate location dedicated to this one use. We recommend any funds contemplated for additional physical spaces and staffing should be given to DOT for processing and enforcement.
Oh, I love it, yes. Perfect.
Okay,
Call the question?
Second,
yes.
any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, all three go. That's awesome, thank you.
So now what's?
All right, so now the last thing we have is Port Authority. So their proposed 2026-2035 capital plan came out. And I started looking through it and I sort of, I would really like 5 World Trade to be built. We have worked on this project for 8 years, maybe now. So it's, Zach and I looked through it and tried to ask for more information because the only thing that we saw was 1.2 billion at the very bottom. And that says goal to complete build out of campus construction of Tower 2 and Tower 5 and continue strategic investment in One World Trade. That's not enough money for all 3 of those buildings.
So, and aren't we getting screwed by the federal government because they're not putting any money into?
They
this?
weren't in the feds.
ever.
They weren't there. It's
That's
all-
another project.
That's it, yeah. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I kind of think that we should, you know, Zach and I were looking through this and he's like, well, there's something there. Like, I'm getting a little short on patience and timing. And I think we should,
well, was it going to be the Port Authority's capital funds to develop those anyway? Is it gonna be a private developer doing that?
it was Port Authority with Silverstein. Yeah.
He'll be dead by then. But he will be. I'm sorry. He's very old. He's barely hanging on.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm unsure if we wanted to do a resolution that said, cheddar, get off the pot, let's get our building. We want, 5 built as a priority. We are now in the queue waiting for them to get 2 fully solidified before we can get 5. That is my understanding.
Well, I still,
Yeah, 2 may never come.
I still want some more, we stopped having
Yes,
our
I think
cabs 5. And there are lots of issues that have not been resolved, like it's gotten worse on Greenwich Street, there are all kinds of problems.
But it's,
if they go in the building.
but as Jeff said, we don't know the 2 will ever happen.
Right.
So we don't want 5 hostages to 2.
That is my perspective as well. I think for a community, we can work through everything that we need to, but we should not be,
Held hostage.
and we need affordable housing.
That's correct. And
That's not resolved either about how much affordable housing. is
30%,
going there.
30.
it was 30%.
We have
And-
33 out of them.
We got 33 and we could always say, and even though there's such a need for affordable housing, we could expand the 33%.
That's what
Yeah.
has been tried. That's
I mean,
what
we
I'm
can-
saying.
Yeah, but this is where you're commenting on the capital.
We say, there's, we lose nothing by commenting on it.
Well,
Right.
I gotta tell you, you know, I mean, my people will be the ones having to live with this construction. So I wanna make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row before we go into.
I still think we need to do a resolution that says, for two reasons. One, we're in November, right? Get it sent around December and January. It gives us a really good advocacy point to be pushing in a race for governor and with our new mayor.
Didn't they say they were getting ready to raise the prices on path? For some ridiculous amount of money? $5 now, something like that?
And we still don't have Liberty Street reopened.
Okay. Let's keep on target. Do we want to do a resolution
I'm for it.
that says, and Jeff, help me with the wording on this, when we're taking a look at the proposed capital plan for the Port Authority,
Yeah, I mean, I see the little blip in there. I don't know if they have anything more detailed.
If they don't,
and
Jeff.
Zach and I tried to do a deep dive to find anything more. The only other thing I found related to World Trade Center was the PATH station and, underground infrastructure. That's it.
well, I think we have to.
So, I mean, so the little blip that I say, I think it's what you just read before. Continued goal of building out of World Trade Center Towers 2 and 5, continued strategic investments to maintain one World Trade Center as Class A office building, which continues to attract highest quality tenant. I think that's great that 2 and 5 are in the capital budget, but I think we want to clarify that we view 5 as a priority. And it should not be tied in any way to the fate of 2.
Correct.
But what I'm still saying is, I'd like to, I don't know where that goes. I'd like all the problems resolved before we just go build it.
It's not gonna happen, until, you're gonna have to put this in, and then they're gonna have to come back. 5 is not,
Well, I mean, they already basically have a deal on 5 on the affordable
Correct.
housing. I'm not sure we want to relitigate that and delay it another
But I'm
5
not
years.
talking about the affordable housing. I'm talking about all of the inconvenience it's gonna cause the people who live in
that's a different.
close proximity to that building. When we were having the CAT meetings, I was complaining about Greenwich Street, that Cedar Street is the only street going west.
Well, and then we could add in the resolution
All of
and
these
that
issues.
as part of the development of 5, then we need to have whatever this
Ongoing
ongoing,
discussion.
yeah,
Ongoing dialogue,
dialogue with
the residents of,
residents and neighboring businesses.
and neighboring
That
business,
to be resolved, yeah.
okay.
Jeff, what did you say Tower 2 was gonna be? Did they say it in
They,
that?
they don't say, they just say their goal is to build it out, but.
It's commercial?
Oh, it's, well, in the current plan, it's
Yes.
commercial, who
Okay.
knows, you know.
Okay.
Who knows?
They announced an anchor tenant.
Did they?
I thought they did.
Who?
I thought Amex was taking space over there.
Really?
I thought Annex is in New Jersey.
No, they're at World
They're-
Financial, they're at Brookfield, and they were gonna take 2 as a ground tenant too. So,
That's just moving one problem to a different one.
That's right,
Yeah.
Someone's
really.
gonna fill that space.
Other space, what are they gonna do? Really? Oh, please.
okay, so CB1 calls upon the Port Authority to prioritize building 5 World Trade and should not be held back in any way to wait for build out,
Development, the build out,
build out.
for the plans for 2, because they don't have anything,
Right.
if I understand correctly.
Or
But-
campus.
But 2 is important, because if they can develop that into commercial space, that'll be jobs and revenue for this area.
Oh,
I mean, I just think.
We're not saying it's not important, Eric, I don't
Yeah.
want it tied to 5.
And well, and jobs and jobs.
Yes.
There's a whole bunch of empty space over there already that people have not come back to. So I'm not quite sure why.
No, but I think our
we're this moment.
position on 2 is not, we don't in any way oppose it, but that the economic factors that determine when it's going to be
Right.
built
Don't need to. be
are
proud of
different
five.
from the economic factors that determine when
Correct.
5 is going to be.
That's the difference. We're not saying anything about 2, that it shouldn't be
Yeah.
built or any of that,
Yeah.
but we don't want 5 tied to it, but who knows? I keep thinking 2035.
Tammy,
I mean, you won't
Yeah,
Could we squeeze Susan's comment in there too? Like maybe begin the sentence with, while we'd like to see increased affordability, we want to move forward with 5, like either way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why not? We don't lose
Sign it?
anything. We're not, right.
so here's where I was going on that. I was close. Okay. So CB1 calls upon the Port Authority to prioritize building 5 World Trade Centers, should not be held back in any way to wait for build out or campus plans of 2 World Trade Center.
Correct.
CB1 has CB1 notes the continued development, continued real estate development around 5 World Trade Center has changed the public realm. And we call on the Port Authority to work with the community on updated designs and impacts. That takes care of the fact that we have 3 new buildings, 4 that are under construction that are within 300 feet of there. Plus the nice building is bankrupt, so we'll see what happens. And
Which one is the
then
nice one?
the Exchange building there that was supposed to be the restaurants.
Oh, you mean the American Soccer
Right,
Association?
yeah. CB1 calls on the Port Authority and our elected officials to review any and all opportunities to further increase the number of units.
Perfect. I like that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is this a good place to mention anything about the hospital we wanted in 2 or no?
No, no.
I just want to say, my reading on the Port Authority is 2, they're gonna support 2 because they don't get government subsidies for operations, and 2 would give them revenue. So I think that one, they would prefer to get that started. But I also think 2 is important because if that can provide jobs for this area, housing is essential, but we also need jobs, and so that we can bring revenue, money into this economy.
But I agree with Pat. Remember the senator's report on the amount of vacant commercial space that we have in our district?
Well, we could, I have it with me.
Well, but I mean, I
Or
think
did
the
you mean
basic
construction
point.
jobs building?
Well, both.
But I
think the
just-
basic point is that 2 will build itself in the sense that if there's nobody holding it back. If there is a market for that space, it will be built. And the only thing that's holding it back is concern over whether there's a market for that space.
And I
A
think
5
that
is
the
based-
pushing
they don't have
of
enough
5 and how it
That's
works,
why
Eric.
we need to
Well,
prioritize.
that's why we have to prioritize 5 and see, and then you will have the impetus to say that, look at what happened with 5 and it's rented and it's this and it's that. And now there is the impetus.
I mean,
to move
remember,
on.
the only reason 5 is residential in the first place.
Is because they
because
couldn't do.
They concluded that there was not enough
Enough.
market demand for office space, and so they converted it. to
Why,
office.
so why do they need 2?
Well, I mean, the economy may grow enough to,
Well,
but
not.
But it flows from the
Can't mix
economy. It doesn't,
Doesn't
there's
flow.
no impediment, there's no regulatory impediment to being built. If the economy will justify it, it will be built.
Yeah, so Downtown Alliance just gave their board stats at the meeting earlier this week that I was at. And, the vacancy rate is still above 20% in Lower Manhattan, which is part of the reason why, the Port Authority and Silverstein are looking for large anchor tenants before they go down the road. We can put in here a line that says, after 5 World Trade is, we look forward to supporting the Port Authority and its build out for 2 World Trade and look forward to hearing more.
So I don't think we need to imply that it's gonna be built after 5. They're gonna be built independently of one another. And we don't want, I mean, the reality is 2 may take some time to be built, but whatever the factors that cause it to be built are independent of the factors that will cause 5.
Yeah.
It almost makes you wonder whether or not they're looking to get 2 confirmed so they can lower the cost of building 5 by building 2
At the
simultaneously.
same time.
How's that gonna happen?
Same contractor, same materials.
And how could it be the same material when one is residential and one is,
Well, that's only 30% residential, remember.
Yeah, but
5
still.
is a mixed-use building. We don't know where 2 is gonna end up, other than you get a.
But unless they're using the same facade materials, the same window materials, you know.
That's not necessarily,
But,
that's not necessarily a no, you know what I mean? They put new designs out for 2 World Trade Center in May of this year. And I was pretty sure that they had announced that they had an anchor. Because the designs were of the last building. Yeah. In May, they didn't have an anchor tenant. Betty, go ahead.
You're muted.
I agree with Jeff and Eric. I would not mention 2. There are good reasons for building 2 that are very separate. So to put them in with apparent contention, I think it would be a big error. On the other hand, in order to tie it to the capital plan, since that seemed to be the original intent, I would start the original comment that was made by Tim, when you read yours, would be that CB1 is concerned that the plan does not give any specifics about the build out. It just gives a lump sum for what's going to go to the capital plan for these buildings. But in fact, there is concern specifically about building 5 because of the desire for more affordable housing that would be brought with that building. I would keep it positive.
Yeah, we support building both of them. We'd like to see 5 built before 2035.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So tell me a positive way to say that we're concerned about the capital plan doesn't have enough information.
Well, it doesn't give any information specifically about any of the buildings.
Or a timeline other than the broad 10-year
You could say you appreciate that, Tower 2 and Tower 5 are in the 10-year capital plan. You urged the Port Authority to prioritize them earlier in that time span. For XYZ.
And in particular, we would like to see 5 as soon as possible.
Yeah.
For the business you're aiming.
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right. So with that, that'd be a resolution and it goes to the Port Authority, it goes to the governor and goes to everybody in the. All right. We good?
Call.
Second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Fantastic. The vote by affirmation. Mariama and Betty, I'm assuming your hands are up, but you've spoken, so you're good. If not, say something before I call for the vote.
Mariana, is she there?
My hand is up.
Mhm.
Something-
Betty, go.
Go.
No, she's voting.
Well, I voted yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, are there any opposed or abstaining or recusing? Fantastic, motion passes. And with that, okay, we had, I'm gonna give you my updates and then we go around the table. We did Hudson River Park Advisory Council last night, and we learned that the Hudson River is now deemed swimmable. So the Hudson River Park Advisory Council heard from Riverkeeper and are working on ways that beyond like the events that they allow and organize to figure out some way, somewhere, perhaps in the advisory council, that we could have a structured swimmable location.
Okay.
That's not on top of the CSOs.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really exciting that the water is actually now deemed clean enough. The water in the Hudson River now, along the Hudson River Park Trust, is now deemed swimmable.
So if you take your kayak and you fall in, you won't die.
You will.
People will die from amoebas.
So the advisory council is working with Riverkeeper and others to figure out ways that they can recommend to have a couple different things. Their advisory council was looking for ways to have better notification for when there's large rainfalls, for whether it's safe or not, because Jersey has very robust notifications, New York side of the river, not as much. And then once that is set up, looking and identifying places potentially within the trust that could be considered swimmable locations and what that might look like, right? Can't just have everybody there because it's not swimmable like a pool,
Well, you got into guards.
right?
Whatever, they put in the pool in.
And that's on.
That's on
the
the east
side.
side.
Yeah, inside.
We
Excuse me,
also had
Tammy.
incredible, yes,
Can I say that Jason has his hand up and he's an attendee, if he could be moved to panelist?
thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
How long has he been there?
Oh, I had something to say about the first item, but whatever, it's been a while. So I'm sorry I couldn't get there tonight, but I've been listening the whole time, so I'll
It's
just
all right,
keep
tell me what you
listening.
said, did we miss something?
Oh,
Did we miss something
no, it
obvious?
was probably something like, do something for the veterans or something like that, but it's fine. We can do something for the veterans anytime. But you guys keep going. It's I just want to be made a panelist also. I felt left out, you know?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty, so that was, they did an incredible education and science presentation on all the tours, the trips, the research projects and everything. There's a great Hudson River Park Advisory Council. There's a great video that when it'll be posted on their site, it was a pretty neat update. Borough Board this morning was, it's also, it's very refreshing and off-putting that no matter what district in Manhattan you're in, we share so much commonality, even with different constituents. It's just astounding how things are rolling around. And I say that you should watch Borough Board. Also on a note, we were updated by COIP today. For those people who think that I am too difficult in telling people, go to COIP, no, you shouldn't share that, whatever. There was a CB6 board member that was fined $3,500 for conflict of interest because they worked at a landscape and architecture firm, and they were a member on the board working on a project, and they presented it and chaired a meeting.
Jesus.
I should have known better.
That was, what planet are they?
I don't know, but I mean, just to me, I was like, wow. And I just want to remind you, if I ask you people to go to COIB, I ask you, it's not because I'm being rough, it's because I'm trying to protect the board members that we have. So,
Do we have those training sessions on like YouTube that we can watch?
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
they
remember
have-
watching the conflict of interest.
Whole bunch of them.
But the most important thing is, if you're wondering if it's a conflict,
It's a conflict.
ask early. If you ask later, you're just gonna get in trouble. That's just,
Yeah.
this particular person didn't ask at all. So
If they had just gotten on the board?
I don't know what they were thinking. I was not in the room and I certainly would have said something. But, that's why we are very,
Well, sometimes it's explained as a shorthand, as long as you don't vote and disclose your conflict, it's okay, but it's not. I mean, that does take you a long way, yes.
so you can't share the meeting, that's one. Two, if, let's say, TA Meltzer Consulting, right? And I'm gonna plan this big holiday party for the board. One, I can't do that. And I can't charge for it.
Right.
Period. Right?
None of us can take any money from.
No, we cannot take money from the board. Secondly, you cannot, if you're working on something and you don't say anything, you can recuse and just be quiet. If you open your mouth during the discussion, the first thing you need to say,
Yes.
I have a conflict. I will be recusing at the vote. This is what my conflict is. And then you can talk about anything you want. You can't chair the meeting, but you can talk about it. And then when the vote comes, they recuse. It's very, very straightforward. There's not a lot of two ways about that. So it's the kind of thing that when people ask me, I'm like, you should go to court. And I say that because, $3,500 is a lot of money for a penalty.
Yeah.
And it was a great presentation about taking down the FDR Drive up at CB6. So, yeah, it's something that you learned. There are, We had a great conversation about process at the borough board today and how we do resolutions and about making sure that you read out everything that's gonna end up in the resolution. Because there's so many new people in so many boards, they don't have a handle on how to do resolutions. They don't have a handle on running meetings. There's much like the public dialogue on the national level. There has been a lot of people in camps left and right and people yelling at each other. And apparently people who refuse to do a resolution because instead of saying, what did they say this morning? We said, strongly oppose. No, it should say mildly opposed, and it takes them 20 minutes and they can't get the discussion.
But that's one of the things that this borough president's office never, remember when I ran a seminar to quality of life where we had reso writing skills? The borough president, you might want to suggest this. I know it's gonna be all changed.
I did.
Okay.
I suggested it.
Isn't that one of the things?
No, they never have seminars.
No, I suggested that, and I also suggested that they take the opportunity for leadership. That's, for example, if we had people who had been on board a long time from CB6 come down here, there's less of a, why are they telling me this than if I'm doing it? So my suggestion was that they share the resources from long-term board members to develop a group that goes around and helps train other board members.
Well, they also could foot something, the borough president, of some kind of training of the whole board together. And talking about, well, mediation, that's exactly right.
I did that in 2020 or 21.
Before,
We
yes,
brought in the trainer.
and we had a trainer,
Yeah.
and to talk about how you mediate, how you get along, what you do if you don't like
Especially in
something.
today's world, we're having
You know,
all these new board.
So it's one of those things that I may,
Board retreat.
right.
That's what we could spend the money on.
There are people who have asked about a board retreat. There are other boards that do it. I'm not really sure about that, but I'm gonna leave that there.
I'm
Doesn't
not
mean
sure
we have to
either.
go away,
But
but I
there-
had suggested that we have a whole day.
Yes.
Go to one of these nice flushing hotels and have a
That's what those street fairs could
Yeah,
pay
Puerto
for.
Rico, right before Somo's.
restaurant.
Oh, God, oh, dear, oh, dear. Okay.
So, that was kind of like a lot of the conversations at Borough Board, and, it was good. It's, there were 3 boards that moved their elections from June to November. Because they felt that by the time the borough president got the people on board, that they didn't like it. There was another board who changed bylaws because their term limits were like ours. If you remember, I tried to do that in 2020. When I got on, I said, hey, let's change them. I do think that probably in 26 is gonna be something that we need to do, because if you're only on the board for 8 years, you shouldn't be allowed to run to be 6 out of 8. I think we should shorten that. But again, like Susan Cole said to me then, we don't like it, we vote you out. But one board changed their bylaws, so you couldn't be chair for, they shortened it to 4 years.
We have 3, don't, 3 terms.
Three 2-year terms, yeah. So they
Well, and
shortened
it's
theirs
important that
to,
it's consecutive terms, which is why somebody could actually be, that went from 3 to 2, which I recommend too. Consecutive terms, they could theoretically come back after a term and run again.
Like
Yeah.
Trump.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So those are my updates, from Borough Board, and pass around for committees. We've had a lot of committees this month. Anybody need to go first?
I don't need to go first, but we have, a light agenda, the 3 resolutions, and I urge you to read them. The one was the former Buddha Bar that, we approved a new group that's gonna take, 2 parts and whatever. I just like, what?
Is it the same owners or?
No, totally
this-
different.
this
Everything
guy
is
who's
different.
Up at the.
Voss, VOSS. He's up at
at
Related. Gabby knew him. She worked with them up at the Related, up at the shed and all of those.
Yeah, he's
places.
got a lot of businesses that are excellent up there and he's.
Blah, 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 blah. But, we always try to limit the hours and do the variety of things. I just like everybody to read and to know what's going on. And, the best is we had a meeting with the SLA today. The commissioner came down and when we,
CB 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3. And Commissioner Fahn had sent 100 Broad Street, which we had approved in 2023 to open a jazz club downtown. And just quickly, they came back. And why did they come back? Because Commissioner Fahn said, I don't want to deal with this. You don't want to sign the stipulation, you want new hours and whatever. Go back to the community board and get a resolution. And so that's what, I mean, that was
Is it the
really,
jazz club that's right here?
no,
No,
it's
they
the
don't
old,
wanna be.
on
well,
Bleeckers, was gonna be on 100 Broad. It's not downtown.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good, that's what they should do.
And so,
We learned a lot at the meeting today. I think it was really productive. I am incredibly grateful, and for any one person who complains that our licensing is too long or overwhelming, I welcome you to go to CB 2 or 3.
Oh, I can imagine.
I mean, wow.
Do they have
So,
2 nights?
a lot of times. And then what was interesting was in CB3, they did a sidewalk cafe enforcement walk with the SLA and Harvey and the district manager at midnight. They walked through and saw, 12:30, 1 o'clock, how many outdoor dining places were still open. Because they had been getting complaints, so they actually did a walkthrough of a couple neighborhoods. I thought that was fascinating,
Right.
fascinating.
when I
What
get
are they
my
gonna
new
do about
knee in the spring.
They all got
I can do a
violations.
walkthrough.
They all got violations.
They all got violations.
Is it gonna do anything?
Well, maybe, and
Maybe.
then we did ask the SLA to set up a meeting with DOT because they're having troubles getting the information from DOT, like we're having troubles getting information, so they're not. It's not having troubles, it's just the process is taking way longer. And they're providing, the good news is their backlog is down to just under 6 months. SLA, and that's huge, because when we met with them coming out of COVID, it was long, it was really long. Their goal is to get it down to about 4.5 months, but they're close, they're really close, which is a significant benefit, for everybody.
And in all fairness to all of us here, the commissioner, we really try to keep businesses open. We're not hostile, and she is responsive to us and has heard us. So we're doing something right, that's
And
all.
she wants, when we talk about the details, that's what's important for them.
Right, and stipulations.
Is
he
the
said
stipulations.
More is welcome.
Right, so if we've given them to 1 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the morning, they want like all the level of detail that shows we really tried to work with them. Because if you don't put detail, you get what happened to an applicant who the CB just said no and didn't give good reasoning and didn't try anything. And the commissioners gave the 4 AM.
At 4 a.m.
It was a diner that, and they said, we gotta make money, we wanna be open till 4 AM, we wanna attract. Probably the funniest thing was the 2 new lines that we heard from everybody is something we've heard at this board before. We need to be open till 4 o'clock in the morning because the rent's too expensive. And we need to be open till 4 o'clock in the morning because we're gonna be attracting people who work in the hospitality industry to come to this location. And I found that funny because every community board has heard the same thing. So, while ours is the best because we're CB1, they're selling the same packaging to every community board when they go there.
And the district manager of community board too, as we were walking out, and then we'll stop. I said to her something and she said, the 3. I said, I just don't trust any of the lawyers.
It's recording.
No, I'm not giving names. I said, I have trouble with many of the lawyers. And she said, you're right.
It was really interesting, because when you hear that there are a lot of the same, we are in significantly better shape in some places. CB2 has a lot of streets that were retail that were never restaurant spaces, they were retail, hardware stores, you know, all kinds of different uses that have now been turned into bars and restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem that the residents of those streets are having is it's not the one or two stores, but when you get to the eighth store
Yeah.
and they want a 4 AM close and there's like a saturation issue because it was not ever designed for any of that, none of the buildings, none of the rest of it. So they're having struggles in their neighborhood. I'm super happy that's not us. And it's very interesting. A lot of the boards are looking at different neighborhoods on where they could give more and be more flexible. I think we have been pursuant to.
Yeah, we have.
Pursuant to what you see. And there was another, it is important to know if it's a troubled location. Okay. Whether or not the new business is related in any way to the old business.
Correct.
And that could be Eric owns the restaurant, Jeff and I manage. Well, Eric is in trouble, he loses the license, then I go and apply for the license. They wanna know, did you work at that restaurant? If you were a problem when he owned it and you and I ran it, you're a problem. You're the problem.
So that's really good.
And as I said, you have to ask those questions. Who's managing it? And if we can find the information like the other gentleman who has other restaurants, then ask the other and take a look, are there complaints in other neighborhoods about this operator? And if there aren't, do what you do. If there are, mention it. So all of that was really good information. I was super, super happy about all of that. Anybody have any questions? All right, it's been a long day. I've been here since 8:30 this morning. It's 7:30. Let's, motion.
Tammy, can I say something first?
Oh, yes, please.
I think there were at least 3 committees that did not meet this month. Parks, zoning, and Y&E. But in transportation, we couldn't do any business because we lacked a quorum. So could we also be skipped over and simply, if you want to put the slide up with the agenda, put they were all postponed because they're going to come back till next month, the same topics.
As you wish. Do you have any time delays on there? Like, are you required to pass it for any kind of public hearings, deadlines, or anything?
No, the 3 that were postponed, we worked as a committee on, and Eric can verify this, to lay out the wording for the resolution so there is a draft resolution that can be posted in advance of the November meeting.
Okay, sounds great. If that works for you, you want to go?
So
up-
4 committees
you wanna
won't
go
meet.
up early? Oh, this is gonna be a nice fast borough board, fast monthly meeting. I love that.
Oh, I love it too.
December, I made the decision to get off the holiday week. So our full board is Thursday, December 18th. Because I know you're not in town, because quality of life is the 17th, and we weren't sure if it was gonna meet or not. It's gonna be quality of life and exec. So either way, we'll have exec the night before and full board on the 18th. If there's not a lot of stuff going, then we'll have cookies and cocoa and call it a very nice time to
I'll
celebrate.
be in the hospital with getting a new knee.
Congratulations.
Right.
Congratulations. Right.
I already know 4 board members who will not be at full board. We have 48 members on the board at the moment. So let's make sure I can get to
This
25
is for,
December.
The 18?
Yeah, it's full board.
And I'll remind
I'll
everybody.
be home by the evening
Okay,
with the new knee, but I'm
with that,
gonna go.
let's
watch it.
adjourn.
All right.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow,